This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And hey, Reunion is coming up in December 1st through 5th, 2010. And the great news is there's still great rooms available and great rates. I know some of you may be saying, well, I looked at Reunion hotel rooms. I couldn't find anything at DisneyWorld.com. They just wasn't coming up with any good room, good rates or anything. But you know what? Lots of great space still available, but only 2 weeks left to jump on that. And you know what? Not only are you getting a great space for a great rate, but you're also getting, get this, free admission for two people in your group to a dessert party exclusively in Epcot. That's nice. Yeah, so you're getting a great rate, and for free, included in the price, you're getting those dessert party tickets. Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com.
Bringing the world to your world, this is Walt Disney World Today. Here are Mike Scopa, Len Testa, Mike Newell, and your host, Matt Hochberg.
It's Wednesday, October 20th, 2010, and this is episode 788 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, how's the weather in there?
Sounds familiar.
Oh, wow.
The Seas?
Nine-Eye?
Nope.
How's the weather in there?
It's a retired attraction.
Body Wars.
Yes.
Ooh.
Really?
Very good, Len.
Did you know that, or was that just your first guess?
One of my other choice was the Seas, so I knew it was an Epcot thing.
Wow.
Very good. Well, also joining us on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome to the show, Len.
Matt, I've made a strategic error in October. I've already bought all of my Halloween candy, and some of it is sitting right here with me now. So if the answer to any of my questions are, you'll understand why.
It makes perfect sense.
There is no such thing, by the way, as a fun-size anything candy bar, because if you stack 6 of them together, it's just a regular-sized candy bar at that point.
Very good. Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Good evening. I can go for some of that candy, Len, so share.
What do you say? What do you say?
Please.
Let's
Trick or treat.
Oh, let's not trick or treat yet. That's 2
Also
weeks.
joining us on today's show is the fabulous Annette Owens, a manager of customer relations and group services for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Welcome to the show, Annette.
Hey, don't mess with me and food. I know how to get food.
Well, on today's show, it's Wednesday. We're answering your listener questions.
It's Wednesday.
And the first one is from Jamie in Johnson, Rhode Island.
Jamie.
He writes, in Len's voice. So here's the thing, Matt. My family and I will be doing some resort hopping during our trip in late November. On the last night of our trip, we'll be staying at Fort Wilderness Cabins for the first time and we have a car. We'll be going to the Magic Kingdom on the day of check-in. Ideally, we like to check in during the morning hours, get into our cabin, and then take the ferry over from there. Do you know if it's okay to call ahead without actually showing up to a resort to find out if a room is ready? If so, how would you do this? If not, are we better off getting our luggage over to Fort Wilderness in the morning anyway? I assume like other resorts, they could store it for us. Or are we better off just driving to the TTC and then driving over to Fort Wilderness later in the day after we're done with the Magic Kingdom? So basically, I guess the question here is a good question for Annette. Annette, if you're planning to stay at a resort, obviously, technically speaking, rooms aren't ready until 4:00 p.m.
Technically.
Technically, right? We say technically. In reality, it's usually earlier than that. But if you were to could you call ahead to your resort before you actually check in and see if your room is ready?
No, they want you to go over there and check in. They're not going to tell you over the phone, which, that would be great if they tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've always found I like to get over there and get my luggage over there so I don't have to worry about it. Go in and store it. And I've been lucky. A lot of times my room's ready. So, you never know. If you're not too picky on your room, you might actually have a room that's clean and ready for you. Then you can go on and put your stuff in there and you're done for the day. But if they have to store it, at least you know it's where you're going to end up. Nothing worse than having to move stuff around at the end of the day when you're tired.
Yeah, good point. So you would recommend going over there anyway, and just biting the bullet and dealing with it.
That's just me personally. I just kind of like to go on and get it done. Then if you run into somebody, you have your plans changed, or you just, at the end of the day, nobody wants to mess with moving stuff. At least not in my family.
Okay. Well, that's good enough for me. Next email is from Paul from East Brunswick, New Jersey. Hello, wonderful people, and thanks for all you do. My question for discussion involves All-Star Vacation Homes. I don't know their sponsorship status or if this could be or would be a good topic, but here it goes. Before I start, Matt, the way you read the commercial is brilliant, and you deserve whatever commission you would get, LOL, because the ending, as in my subject, just gets stuck in head, and he refers to the homes. Speaking of brilliant, Len, Billy Squire to run to, fantastic.
Thank you.
Anyway, trying to navigate the site and go through all the wonderful choices can be overwhelming at All-Star Vacation Homes. Perhaps a 101 on the different communities, distance of the parks, perks, amenities, etc., and then on the pros and cons of the 5-star, 4-star, 3-star condo and townhomes. Maybe it's simpler than that. Either way, any help is appreciated as it looks to be all that as awesome as advertised. By the way, I love the unofficial guide, hoping for 3 dings. Actually, Newell, the email brings up we actually kind of did this show. If you remember, the British show we did.
Yes.
We broadcast it from an All-Star Vacation Home, and we had Sarah from All-Star Vacation Homes on the show, and she went through all those the differences between vacation homes and quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, that was a very detailed show as far as the All-Star Vacation Homes go. If you want to play it back, I have to look up what episode that was or what it was titled, but it definitely was more detailed and what the differences between the homes and the condos are. So you definitely want to check that out if you're looking for differentiations. Also, the website is very good, too. It explains a lot of how many can sleep and how many people can comfortably fit.
Yeah, it's I just found it over here. It's the I believe this is the one. It's from Sunday. Not Sunday. June 21st, 2009. It's called WW Today European Live Show. It originally aired on if this is the show, May 25th, 2009.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Just go over there and you can. You were there for that, weren't you? Yes, you were.
I left right before Sarah came over, but yeah.
That's indeed.
Yeah, and I did that show from home actually.
Yeah, I did.
Were you there? I thought you were there for that.
She was. She left.
I was there in the beginning,
she
and
went
then
home that day.
Oh, Annette was. Oh, right.
I had to leave. So
gotcha.
That was kind of fun. I have to now download that and listen to it again.
It was a fun show. You just got to go through all the British jokes, and you'll get some good information.
Yeah, Governor.
Next email is from Michael of Leavenworth, Kansas. Does touringplans.com crowd calendar ever go below 4 in ratings? And why have? Well, I guess this is an old question, Len, because this is before the new crowd calendar, right?
It is. So the new crowd calendar goes all the way down to like 0.1.
Cool. Next email is from Karen, who writes, this is Karen from Jacksonville, Florida. Your Disney-related talents and geekdom astound me, and I've searched for men like yourselves high and low, believe me on the low part, but I've come up short. You are not only handsome, but powerful men as well, and I can see you walked in that.
Oh, wow.
Pretty Woman. It's the line from Pretty Woman. It's one of my favorite lines. Wait, we need more sucking up over here. Very well. Handsome and powerful man.
You're a handsome, powerful man, but powerful men as well. I could see the second you walked in that you were men to be reckoned with. Having said that, here's a question for each of you. How did you, quote, earn your ears? So, Scopa, how did you become involved with All Ears?
How did I become involved with All Ears?
allears.net, yes.
Well, my God. It all started a long time ago. It started, how much time do we have? I was known to write a lot of very, very detailed trip reports, and Brian Bennett and I met on an AOL chat line, and we used to have these meetings once a month. There was a Disney chat, and we would be talking, and I was always given detailed questions and detailed answers with about 40 people. And one time Brian emailed me. He said, "How do you keep all this detail?" I said, "I write these very detailed trip reports." So Brian asked if he could have one. I showed him one, and next thing you know, he's using it as a base for his DV Clubbers guide website. And eventually that became Mouse Planet. And eventually I was with Brian, one of the primary content providers for Walt Disney World on Mouse Planet, and next thing I know, I'm involved with Mouse Fest, and Deb and I have known each other for a long time, and eventually it just seemed to be the right thing to do. So that's how I ended up on All Ears.
What was the driving force behind Mouse World Radio?
I needed a place to store all my music, so I was able to find Live 365 when they first came online, and it just went from there. And then once the podcast started, that was, the end of my me being nobody.
Nice.
If it makes you feel better, Mike, we'll always think of you as a nobody.
Oh, thank you.
No.
We're here for you, buddy.
Yeah, Len. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Len, how did you become involved with the Unofficial Guide?
I wrote a letter to Bob, and I think we told this story before. In graduate school, I studied scheduling algorithms, so I was trying to create better touring plans for the guide. And it just so happened that it worked out.
Matt, where did your passion from the studios come from, and what made you want to start a podcast? Well, passion for the studios came by the simple fact the studios is the best theme park, obviously. That goes without saying. And podcast was just something, at the time we started in 2005, and podcasting was in its infancy. And then it was starting to really become a big deal, and thought it might be a fun thing to do. And so far, so good. Karen goes on to write, thank you for your wonderful hours spent laughing. I am indeed impressed with the range and silliness that ensues each week. Nothing seems to be off limits. And speaking of which, do you know of any Narcoossee's type places for single people? I'm just saying. Give y'all some help.
All right, that's pretty funny.
I'm told that if you wander around the All-Star Resorts after midnight with a bottle of wine.
Oh,
no. Next email is from Jason from St. Charles, Illinois. Greetings, gentlemen and lady. I'm a fan of Marvin the Unofficial Guide. I decided to write some dialogue for him the next time he pops up. Maybe you could pass it along.
Okay.
All right. I don't do a very good Marvin impersonation, but who put this ugly cover on me? I can't go out like this. I'd make a great pillow at Tent Fest. Boy, he would have made a great pillow.
Peter, we could have burned it.
To be honest, do I look bigger than I did last year?
Oh, gosh.
Nice. Very good, Jason. Next email is from Kevbot.
Kevbot.
Massachusetts. Who writes, this spring, I'm going to Disneyland for the first time. I'm spending 5 days there, and I want to see everything. I remember you had a podcast a while back about going over Disneyland stuff, and I've read the Unofficial Guide to Disneyland, but are there any insights or tips you can give me? Do you know any Disneyland-specific podcasts I should check out, or important websites I can use to brush up on both Disneyland and California Adventure? I'm versed enough at the world to know where to go and when to go and what to look for, but the land is all new to me, so I'm both nervous and excited. Anything you can do to help me would be wonderful.
Disneyland?
Yeah, Disneyland.
We just actually came out with a new Disneyland book. That would help. Or is Kevin looking specifically for websites?
Either or. I mean, whatever. Yeah, you can mention that. That's a good point about the
new 2011. The new 2011 unofficial guide stuff came out for Disneyland. So we actually just launched in beta, so it's still preview mode. The Disneyland version of touringplans.com. So it's touringplans.com/Disneyland. So it's got a crowd calendar, it's got touring plans, it's got attraction reviews, it's got restaurant reviews. So give that a try.
Yeah, it's probably the best. I mean, Kevin, let's be honest. It's probably the best place to start with, and a good touring plan is paramount to doing well over there and getting a chance to see everything. I'm trying to think, there's other websites that really focus on Disneyland, in terms of like trip planning, not like so much as like reflecting on stuff and that sort of nature. But just browse around the blogs. I mean, Kevin, I know you're big on Twitter already, so see what's out there. Read as much as you can, and leave. There's always something to be said about having the element of surprise. And of course, check out some of our older episodes. We've had a couple episodes. I know Len's come back from Disneyland. We've talked about it at length in a couple of episodes, so check that out. Next email is from Paul S. from Seattle. Love the show. It makes my commute bearable. I have just a couple of questions and then a list of things I would like to change. My wife and I are planning to join Deb Wills on the inaugural Disney Cruise Line cruise to Alaska. Ooh. We're planning on going to the world in October. Does getting an annual pass offer any discounts or advantages on the cruise line? I don't think so.
No, that would be so nice if they did, but
so completely separate.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less.
And they keep it very separate too, I've noticed.
Yeah, good point. I was also thinking about some of your previous shows about things you would change, and here's some of mine. For one, change up Animal Kingdom. I would keep Dinosaur and the dig site area as it is, but pull out Chester and Hester Park and bring in something like California Adventure's Bugs Life area. The rides still seem off the rack, but the theme is better. I can't do much worse. I would say my response to that, Paul, is if they're going to spend money and do effort, I would love to see them do it right and not just throw in one cheesy area for another cheesy area. Paul writes also, move Toontown, which I think they are taking out to expand Fantasyland, to the studios. The Magic Disney Animation could be the gateway to the new Toontown, which could be more like a cartoon movie studio.
Possibly.
Interesting idea. I think he's trying to go for like that Roger Rabbit idea there. But there's that gateway between the real world and cartoon world, but not a bad idea. Finally, take away what's left of the once good backstage tour at the studios and add more Pixar stuff like Cars Land going to California or the Toy Story Land that's going to Hong Kong. Another interesting idea, but thank you for the feedback, Paul. Next email is from Sharon from Long Island, New York. My question is regarding travel agencies. I have AAA and use them to book my last trip. The rate they came up with was only $100 better than booking online by myself. Is this typical of booking through AAA, or did I just get a dud of an agent? Would using a more specialized agency such as MEI and Mousefan Travel for a Disney trip be a better option? We went during President's Week last year. Is that just a tough time to get a deal? I want some real answers here. No skirting around the question to be polite. AAA or no?
President's Week, hard to get discounts. They're very limited.
Right.
So that could have been the problem. But for most agencies, can't really speak for AAA because there's so many different offices, and it would depend on who you were working with and if they really did specialize in Disney or not. Because there are some agents that in the travel industry, they're not going to specialize in Disney. They do everything. Right. And not just Disney. The big thing about using a travel agency that specializes in Disney is we're going to tell you we're going to get the best deal for you. We're going to work with you to try and get the best deal. Sometimes it is exactly what you can get through Disney, but remember, you're not paying us to work with it. There's no fees here. At least with our agency, there's not. But we're going to be, unlike if you book directly with Disney, we're going to be looking for discounts that we can apply for you. So we're going to be on the lookout for you. And again, we work with you. So we try to figure out, at least for our agency, I can tell you that we try to figure out how it is you want us to help you work. If you want to do a lot of your planning and you want us to just watch for a discount, we'll do that, or we'll do all your dining for you. We'll help you with tours. We'll help give suggestions and some touring plan options. But, it's kind of a partner is kind of how we look at it.
What?
So for more than a year, the Unofficial Guide has been asking people to rate their travel agent and their travel agency. And the interesting thing about that is that Disney-only travel agencies are rated about 40% higher than general-purpose travel agencies when it comes to the satisfaction that clients have with their Disney World trips. Yeah, so so I don't think there's any general-purpose travel agency that gets a higher than 50% approval rating.
Yeah, well, I wanted to first of all, we have to say in full disclosure, we have a working relationship. They're sponsors of the show, so I need to put that out there with MEI and Mousefan Travel. That being said, I would say that AAA, just speaking AAA, not the rates or anything. Rates aside, I'm saying for the personal, if you're looking for personalized service, you want someone to tell you, well, to help you with your planning process more so than just booking stuff. I think a dedicated Disney travel agent is going to go a long ways to making that a better experience. And I think Len, your stat just backed that up right there.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing. In fact, it's in the 2011 edition of the guide. I think there's a small section on it.
Next email is from Brett in Skagway. It's Skagway, right?
Skagway.
Cousin Mickey doesn't talk about it on the boards. And Brett writes, I recently found out that Morocco is the only country that doesn't participate in illuminations. I thought that was really strange. Are fezzes extremely flammable or something? Is there a technical reason why Morocco isn't part of the show?
Actually, there's two, Morocco and Norway.
Is that right? I knew about Morocco. I didn't know about Norway.
Yep, because both of them have sacred buildings.
And the buildings are modeled after sacred buildings.
Right, right, exactly. So they represent sacred buildings, therefore they're not illuminated.
Right. Yeah. That's the Stave Church in Norway.
That's correct, Matt. Yep.
And I'm sorry, I don't know the building name in Morocco. Len, do you happen to know what the building, the religious building in Morocco is? I don't know the name of it.
Is it Medina? No,
the Medina.
The Medina.
It's called the Medina, isn't it?
Is Medina in Saudi Arabia?
No, the Medina is the type of building, isn't it?
Oh, I have no idea. I'll take your word for it. I thought you meant Steve Medina.
Isn't it a mosque? Is it built like a mosque? No? I don't know.
I have no idea. But anyway, it's got religious purposes. Mike's right, absolutely right. Next email is from Andy from Minnesota. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. I'm writing this as I'm burning frequent flyer miles and a day on a still valid park hopper from November for a trip later this month. I'm thinking one of two options for my day. Doing either Magic Kingdom's mountain range in 2.5 hours or a sampling of Walt Disney World's marquee attractions, Space Mountain, Test Track, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Everest in 5. What's the better option? I would say if you're going to spend a day in a park, I would rather do stay in one park, because the time you're going to take between hopping between the parks, I think, kind of takes away from it.
Yeah.
And I would just be able to, you'd be able to maximize your in-park time by sticking in one park. So that's why I would say stick with your mountain range idea there. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. Next email is from Howie from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada.
Howie.
Just love the show. Keep it up. As part of our upcoming trip to Walt Disney World, we will be driving on the first morning from Tampa to the Orlando area. We're planning to visit SeaWorld before we check into the Wilderness Lodge on that evening. As a recent convert to the value of a touring plan, I was wondering if Len has a one-day SeaWorld touring plan. We'll be skipping the big three. We'll be skipping the big three thrill rides, as I think they'll be too intense for us. Hey Len, Leafs rock, Penguins suck.
Who?
What great way, Howie, to get an answer from Len.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I suggest is just diving into the tank with Shamu, which is after liberally coating yourself in herring.
That's a quick plan.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, we don't have a touring plan for SeaWorld. Sorry.
If you're going to skip the big attractions, though, if you're skipping, it sounds like they're skipping Manta, Kraken, and Journey in Atlantis. Yeah. If that's the case, it's pretty easy. I mean, basically just work around the show times and see the exhibits, I think. Try to see the Shamu, Believe, early in the day. I think that one's going to be, it just gets more and more crowded as the day goes on, in my experience. If you have kids, get to that kiddie area in the back of the park quicker, so that way you can get that out of the way. And, of course, get there for park opening. That's also key. There's, no one shows up there at park opening at SeaWorld. You know, the really cool thing, I think it's cool, is at park opening, when SeaWorld opens up, they play the national anthem. Which I think is kind of, it's interesting. They don't do that at Disney World. And Disney World is, you always kind of peg that as a patriotic theme park, but it's kind of interesting they do that. I thought it was a nice touch.
They do lower the flag, though, in Magic Kingdom.
That's true. They have the flag retreat ceremony. Mm-hmm. Next email is from Aubrey Kufner of Salt Lake City, Utah. Hi, everyone. My family of 4 adults will be visiting the world soon. I have recently found out that the ticket discount for military personnel has been extended to include our dates. The offer is a 4-day ticket for $99 and a $25 plus tax you can add to the park hopper option and water park option to the ticket. It's stated that these tickets can be upgraded to an annual pass, premium annual pass, seasonal, and weekday select passes. Do you have any idea what value would be given to these tickets? Would they give the gate value of a 4-day park hopper with water park option tickets? Thanks for your time. So if you're getting these military tickets, what's the value towards the upgrade?
I'm wondering if, I'm guessing that they are not full value.
Yeah, my guess would be that you get $99.
Yeah, because Disney's going to scan on. They always, when they look at your tickets anyway, they're gonna look at that barcode. They're going to see exactly how much you spent for them, and that's typically what you get.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Next email is from Lisa, who writes, in regards to not having a quick stop restaurant at Kidani Village, there are 4 of us, my mom, dad, 9 and 7-year-old boys. My boys already eat like teens, so we do the Disney dining plan with 1 table, 1 sit down, and 1 snack, and we carry extra snacks and order extra food at all our meals. Now, as you can imagine, this costs extra, and try not to break the bank, because we're on a tight budget. We signed up for Disney Vacation Club, and one of the main reasons was the kitchen. We'll be eating breakfast in the room almost every morning to try and save some money. Before signing up for Disney Vacation Club, we were limited in what and how much we could eat in the morning due to small refrigerators and no cooking. It doesn't bother me that there's no quick service because we will order groceries from GardenGrocery.com and make extra meals. That was something that we were talking about, that there's no counter service restaurant in Kidani Village.
No, the store there has like a little bit of a grab and go place. Yep. You can buy orange juice and milk and stuff, but if you can purchase those items off-site, I would definitely purchase them off-site. Save some money.
Yeah, it's obviously a great way to save money, and that's a good point. I just think the problem is, I think for everyone that does do that, just like you said, cooking and making your own meals in your room, I think there's a vast majority of people who are of the opinion, we're on vacation, I don't want to cook, I don't want to even bother. Even Pop-Tarts is like, you just want to be able to, have someone else do it for you. And
you got a microwave there, you just pop it in. It depends upon what you're going to make, too. You got a dishwasher there, so.
Hey, Len, did you ever speaking of Pop-Tarts, did you ever get that in the official guide, your, what'd you call it, nuking your tarts or something like that?
Yes, it's in the review of the All-Star Music Receipt.
We're got a 962. What? This guy just nuked his tarts.
It's in the review of All-Star Music Suites.
Pick up later.
Next email's from Jeanette from Ella Quipa, Pennsylvania. And yes, Len, we're right outside of Pittsburgh, and we love our Steelers, too.
Go Steelers.
Just a quick question, nothing to do with trip planning, just a little curious. Do cast members at the Magic Kingdom have a pep rally type of beginning of the day like guests have when they watch the welcome ceremony before park opening?
Like they do at Walmart?
Does Walmart have a pep rally?
They do a little pep rally. I've seen that on
Did it
some
really?
show. Yeah.
Really? I'm intrigued now. Tell me more about this Walmart opening.
I just know in passing. I just saw it on TV.
They all gather in the front and they say, this is, just look for, a little cheer and, if there's any promotions or what the objective for the day is, the goal,
So now we're talking about Walmart.
We're talking about Walmart now? What about
this is Walmart Today. I'm your host. Yeah.
What about going back to the cast members? Does anyone know of any cast member pep rally type thing, like a Go Team Go kind of thing? I'm not familiar with any, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
I haven't heard of any, but
yeah. I'm sure if there's any cast members, you can just post your stories at www.today.com. Next email is from Mark in Berkeley, California. We're going to Walt Disney World very soon, and we are all we're all Brother Bear fans. Do you have any idea how we can see Coda and oh god, I can't remember his name. Kenai? What's the other bear's name?
Keanu.
Anyway, the Brother Bear characters, costume characters in the parks, maybe in Canada. Is there a way to find out when and where particular costume characters will appear on a given day, like a big schedule?
No, he's over in Animal Kingdom in
Animal Kingdom, but
because I had seen them in Canada and Epcot, but that was years ago, and I don't think they're there anymore. But you've seen them in Animal Kingdom, Len?
Yeah, Animal Kingdom in Camp Minnie Mickey.
Okay. You can also ask a cast member. There's a hotline they can call, actually, or they're supposed to be able to, and ask. Best place to go to guest relations is just ask them, and they can give you a better idea of what to expect. So, well, time for our last email of the day, and Mr. Newell, I'll give you 3 emails to choose from. One gets read in on the show today. The other 2 go back to the email queue to be answered later. Are you ready, Mike?
Sure thing.
I've been called a scrounge, but never a scavenger. You are a milkshake.
What?
What would Mike do?
That depends on the mic. I'm assuming it's Scopa, so let's see. What would Mike do?
Last email is from Matt from Youngstown, Ohio.
Woo!
Here's my issue.
I was born in Youngstown. Go Penguins. Go
I'm
ahead.
visiting in June. Okay, when you get to this visit, let's just say soon. We have 2 days open for ADRs. My family is divided evenly over these 2 choices. Other than my wife and I, we have a 12 and 8-year-old boys and a 17-month-old girl. I tried arguing that our 17-month-old likes me better and thus votes with me, but my wife isn't buying it. Before we have to end this dispute with a cage match, I was hoping you guys could weigh in on it. Only if you agree with me, though. I can't bear saying yes, dear, you were right, even one more time. The first ADR is between Boma and Tusker House. I know you have raved about Tusker House. Is Boma now the ugly and unwanted sister to Tusker House, much like Santonio Holmes?
Oh, nice.
We'll start with that one. I wouldn't go as far as say it's the unwanted sister. I would say that I would prefer Tusker House, although you can usually get better times for Boma because Animal Kingdom's park hours are still limited. I would say also Tusker House for lunch or dinner. I love their buffet. I just like it a little bit more than Boma, but that's not taking anything away from Boma. What do you, Scopa? What's your thoughts, Boma or Tusker House?
I agree with you on the points you made, Matt. Boma obviously has greater operating hours. I think that Tusker House has fresher food. I also think that Tusker House has, I don't know what it is, but Tusker House doesn't seem to have the crowds around the food like you see at Boma. At Boma, you're always bumping into people, but at Tusker House, I don't know, maybe it's the way they have everything. It just seems so open, and I'm never finding myself with a whole bunch of people waiting in line to get at something. So I think the freshness and I think the accessibility, and I think that the price is pretty close. Maybe Tusker, maybe a little bit less. I don't know. I think that I think Tusker gets the nod in those areas. Boma wins with the more choices and greater operating hours. Probably have more meat too.
Anyone like Boma better than Tusker House?
Yes.
You do, Len.
Yeah. I think it has a little bit more variety, and the meats are a little bit fresher because the turnover is a little bit faster over there.
Well, if you have any vegetarians, Boma by far is going to be your best option.
Yep.
That's like Mecca for vegetarians is Boma. It's just their thing over there. The second day, my family is arguing over Beer Garden or San Angel Inn. Which would you do? My votes were for Tusker House and Beer Garden. I guess that you got to go for Beer Garden, no doubt about it.
Yep. I second
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Len, do you agree?
Beer Garden's rated very highly. I had a good time over at is it Beer Garden versus La Hacienda or the Cantina?
No. I believe he means the Cantina, San Angel Inn.
Oh, the one in the Mexico Pavilion or the one outside on the water?
The one in the Mexican Pavilion.
Oh yeah. Go with Beer Garden. Yeah, never mind. I thought the La Hacienda though was pretty good actually. I mean, the food was fresh. It was very tasty. The drinks were strong.
It's just too expensive for my taste.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's my issue with it. But another show for another time. Very good. Thank you, Matt. And that's it for us today. I want to remind all of our listeners that our episode today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And if you're considering going to Reunion or you are going to Reunion, you know what? If you're not booked into the room package yet that MEI and Mouse Fan Travel has set up, it's a great time to get in on that because not only are you getting a great rate, there are great rates available at moderate and deluxe resorts, but you're also going to get included with the price of your room stay a complimentary tickets to the Illuminations dessert party. And those are really cool. If you've never been, whether you've been to them before or never, it is an awesome experience. And it's included. It's the same price. You're getting an awesome rate, and it comes with it. How cool is that? Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, you can visit us online at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, and of course, the fabulous Annette Owens, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.